Join us for the Criterion Institute podcast as Joy Anderson, a global thought leader in business and social change, leads us through a series of discussions, interviews, frameworks, rants, and reframes that will help you better understand how to use finance as a tool for transformative systems change.
I am Joy Anderson, and this is the Criterion Institute podcast. Today, I'm going to talk about something Criterion has been developing for the last several years in partnership with various funders, but has only started to really take shape more recently. And that is our system of standards of practice, which looks at how to address power, privilege, and investment practices across systems of finance. I'm particularly excited about them because I believe they're a missing piece of the implementation puzzle, which has been holding back gender lens investing and other fields in innovative finance from achieving the impact they're focused on. The last 15 years that we've spent building the field of gender lens investing has been an array of pushing and prodding and challenging and trying different strategies. And we're at a moment right now where there is an opportunity because two things are true. There are standard setters, asset owners, governments, foundations who want more. They are asking for more. They want to see that their goals are achieved. They want to see better investments. They want to see gender lens investing really work, not the base minimum, but more. Second thing is there's some amazing investment funds that are out there innovating what that more looks like, challenging standard practices, trying new approaches, excelling at what they're doing. So there are investment funds that are achieving our wildest dreams of what gender lens investing could become. I am blown away by what human beings are getting done. And there are people who have capital who want more, for whom the minimum is not enough. And it's the response to those two conditions in the market, which is why we have built the standards of practice, addressing power, privilege, and bias in how you invest in order to increase the likelihood that you will achieve your gender equity or social impact goals. And so the assumption behind these standards of practice are three things. One is that we need to focus not only on outcomes, but also on practices. Measuring outcomes is critically important, but we're not going to get to those outcomes unless we change our practices, and that has not gotten enough attention. The second is while looking at representation is important, and that's what many of the metric systems within gender lens and practices, frankly, within gender lens investing are built on, sort of questions of diversity and inclusion and measured by indicators around representation. Representation alone is not going to get us there because we also need to address power. We need to look at the power dynamics inside of the processes, not only at representation. And finally, while there need to be checklists, we do need to harmonize. We do need to have simple, straightforward things that people will know if they do these things, they're getting the baseline done. We also need to give more choice, because how you look at gender has to be contextual. Women on boards is not the same thing everywhere in the world. Not every situation is the critical piece, representations on boards. And so we need to look at things like that and say, what are the choices that we are giving people? A broader array of choices to address better practices in the field of gender lens investing. Our approach to this starts with finance. We actually look at three leverage points within finance: investment analysis, investment structures and terms, and then the processes of investment. We look at the logic within how analysis happens, how structures are determined, how processes are validated. And then within each one of those, we look at the existing practice what can change, and that change, the what can change, what would be a better practice, is the standard itself. So, for example, within analysis, we could imagine a standard of practice that's about including data about gender-based violence in analyzing political risk. And structures, we could imagine making sure that the choice of the vehicle aligns with the needs of the community. Kind of basics practice, right? Ensuring that there is an adequate alignment between the choice of the investment vehicle and what are the needs for the people they're investing in. Or within process, what are the ways to incorporate gender expertise into investment processes? We look at these changes, the core of all of this is 4 principles. We look at inclusion, accountability, will to act, and integrity. Is a more diverse perspective being included in the investment process? Are there systems of accountability to ensure that that is happening, to ensure that the changes are happening? Is there a will to act? Are we pushing the practices to better, or are we doing what is most convenient? And then finally, integrity. Are we doing better gender practices only when it's convenient or only when it's required? Is there integrity? And as we were developing each of these standards, so we've built a base of these standards, several hundred in the end, because it crosses asset classes, it looking at a range of type of capital, a range of investment approaches, and really importantly, a range of power in the hands of those asking for better practices. So actually, what defines what practices are going to be asked for is in some ways about the power of the standard setter. If a government is asking for a change in behavior of an investment fund, a private investor who has $5 million to invest in $1 billion fund cannot ask for the same things as a DFI that is spurring the development of a set of new investment vehicles. For these standards of practice to be implemented, we need to continue to build on the amazing practices that exist in investment funds, investment managers, asset managers, where they are trying new practices, where they are challenging the status quo and building new, vibrant approaches to investing. We need to ground in what they are doing, but we also need to ground in the exercise of the standard setters, the exercise of the power of the standard setters who can ask for more, so that we can line up best practices as they're emerging with the aspirations of those who are willing to use their power to ask for more.
To learn more about our work, visit us at criterioninstitute.org. And if you're enjoying this podcast, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Your reviews help our podcast reach a wider audience. Thanks for listening.